What's up, ATLians? We are back for another Five Stripe Friday. We are the ATLians United podcast. Thank you guys for joining us on this beautiful Friday morning. I'm Blake, the Marshman, joined by my co-host.
ATL Joe.
It's Joe, and we're excited to get you guys up on all things Atlanta United. Joe, we had 2 games this past week. We had a wonderful match against Orlando, followed by a meltdown in Dallas. We got Philadelphia at Philadelphia coming up tomorrow, Saturday. Going to be another tough road test. Hey, we got to pick ourselves up, Joe. It's time for another Five Stripe Friday. It's time for ATLians United. If you guys like the show, don't forget to rate us 5 stars for the 5 stripes.
Hello, Atlanta. Welcome back from a 4th of July celebration.
Kaboom.
And a kaboom.
Kaboom. That was my firework noise.
And if you guys missed the fireworks at Stone Mountain Park, they're doing it through July 7th. So get out there this weekend and go watch some fireworks show at one of the best places in the city to watch fireworks.
July the 7th. It's like 3 days of belated independence.
Yeah, if everyone was out there watching your Atlanta United play their best for 85 minutes, you can come back and watch fireworks.
Yeah. Or you can just wish that you went to the fireworks show instead of watching the last 5 minutes. I kind of wish I was at Stone Mountain watching fireworks instead of that last 5 minutes. Joe.
Have you ever been to Stone Mountain?
I've never been, but I've heard it's a stone, but it's also a mountain. Is that true?
Yeah, it's a big rock in the middle of the city, or kind of on the east side of the city. And it's a great park. Great park. Full of golf courses. They got 2 18-hole golf courses, a big old lake, and hiking trails, and you can go kayaking out there. You can go camping, and you can watch fireworks.
Yeah, like I've been to Stone Mountain, like the city area of Georgia. I've just never been to the actual rock.
No, this is completely different than the city.
Yeah.
It's a park.
Wow. Well, I'm missing out. Got to get out there. I still got, 2 more days of fireworks?
Yeah, so you should go check that out. In other good news, we beat Orlando City this weekend. Just completely demolished them 4-0.
Woo!
Had great plays all around, looking like the best team in the league, continuing that fire, going through to the Heat in Dallas. And then the last 10 minutes happened.
Ugh.
And something happened to where we ended up losing the game 3-2.
I don't know, man. I could have gone and gotten another hot dog off the grill, and you come back and 5 minutes later and we're losing, we were winning. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it had something to do with the Heat. What a meltdown.
Big meltdown, and we'll get into that later. A little upsetting news is Miguel's agent, Miguel Almiron. It might be happy for him. His agent came out and said that he is making it his goal to get him to Europe this summer. So
yeah.
We've got 30 more days of summer in July.
30 days of transfer trash.
And hope that he's wrong and we keep Miguel for the rest of the season. But there's a chance that Miggy might leave, and we're all praying that he doesn't because we wanted him to stay here to bring us a championship.
Yeah, well, this is somewhat conflicting news because Tata Martino came out last week and said, hey, we're keeping our roster intact until the end of the season. But agents like to chat. That's kind of just what agents do. Their job is to make their players money. And by, talking up their players, maybe it sparks a little more transfer interest. I know agents get paid when the transfer goes through. So obviously the agent is kind of the salesperson in this situation. He's looking for a little commission.
That's true.
But, Miggy might be I don't know this agent that well. Miggy might be his top client, if you will. He might just be pushing to promote his top client. All I know is the front office has to give the go-ahead. The agent can talk all he wants, but the front office has to okay it. If Tata says we're holding on to him, I'm going to trust Tata over an agent.
Yeah, and another big news with Miguel, he jumped the lead into league leader in assists after this past game when he assisted the league leader in goal scoring, Joseph Martinez, who is on a tear still. 17 goals in 19 games.
Synergy.
This is wonderful. I can't wait to see. He gets a hat trick next week, and he'll have 20 goals in 20 games, and it'll be faster than his pace last year by 1. But we got to count on that hat trick and put us right back on the right track.
Oh yeah, the way our defense is playing, we might need a hat trick from him every game just to win. So we would have needed a hat trick just to tie yesterday. But yeah. Joseph had a great game.
Joseph had a great game, and with all that being said, we're still holding on by our fingertips of that first place in the Supporters Shield.
Yeah.
FC Dallas jumped to first in the West, and they're 2 points behind us with games in hand.
2 games in hand, 2 points behind us.
And then in our own conference, we got both the New Yorks. New York City is 2 games in hand, I believe, and they're only a few points behind us.
Yeah.
And then New York Red Bull is a little bit behind us, but they have 3 games in hand. If they happen to win all 3, they could jump us.
Yeah.
So we need to turn this around and get on a little winning streak here so we can bolster our standings a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, based on points per game, we are not the top team in the league anymore. Right now, the top team in the league is FC Dallas at 2.06 points per game. We're at 1.95 points per game. The Red Bulls have 2 points per game. So, we're still ahead. We're in third, technically, in points per game, if you're kind of tracking that as a way to determine the Supporters Shield standings. But a little bit of disappointing stuff. We had some struggles at home. Then we seemed to knock that out at Orlando. And then it looked like we were carrying that momentum in, and, yeah, it hurt. It hurt, Joe.
There's 15 games left in the season, and there's a hot race for that Supporters Shield. And, that game was really hurting, Blake, and we kind of are limping our way into the next game. So why don't you go ahead and tell us, Blake, what's hurting?
Injury report. Injury report.
So our entire team, I believe, when I checked the injury report, is out with cramps and a meltdown in Dallas. I mean, I would go ahead and say that watching that last 5 minutes, our entire team looked injured. Like we were down, we were out, we were not keeping up with the pace of the ball. We'll get to that later. One player that I really, really hated to see go off in this game, who's battled back from injury this year, had one of the best moves I have seen put on a defender that led to a goal-scoring opportunity later in the game. Tito Villalba. Tito, please be okay, man. Left injured, looked bummed, wanted to stay on the pitch. God, this one hurts because we don't know if he re-injured his previous injury. We don't know if this is a new injury. The club has released nothing to this point. I'm sure we'll hear something later on. I don't expect to see him Saturday. It's too quick of a turnaround.
I'm crossing my fingers, Blake. I'm crossing my fingers that it was just cramps. And with the heat and the humidity there, everyone was gassed at the end of the game. It very well could have been cramping up. He didn't have enough. He wasn't hydrated enough. And he came off the field cramps. And then that would be able to put him back into the game this weekend.
Gosh.
So let's hope for that and just wait for that injury report to come out.
Yeah, knock on your wooden hammer there, Joe. Tito Villalba, our thoughts are with you. Good energy your way. We just don't want to see this because we were finally getting a taste of that exciting front four that we've been waiting for. And Tito goes down. But like I said, you could have taken our whole team by the end of that Dallas game and put them on the injury report for cramps. I'm pretty sure our entire team was dehydrated, including Brad. McCann was healthy, a healthy scratch. But Mikey Ambrose, hometown kid. I was watching the game last night. The 4th of July game. They were highlighting how Ambrose is from the Dallas area. Kind of went through their academy, and Ambrose is a guy that I think might have locked down this left back position moving forward. McCann would have ideally taken that Greg Garza spot, and I guess that's why I'm hitting on it in the injury report. But McCann's healthy, and Ambrose is still getting the start. Interesting to see where that goes moving forward. Let's not harp on injuries. Let's talk about these last 2 games, especially that meltdown in Dallas. It's time for the recap.
Hey, first off, I want to start with some bright news before we get a little depressing here.
Let's pick it up.
We beat Orlando again, 4-0. We finally beat them at our house.
Oh,
For the first time
Trashland
in our history, we beat Orlando at home. Last year, we only tied them twice. And now they were in shambles. We did a whole preview on it, and they came here, and we did not disappoint. And we just demolished them 4-0. Finally, wiping off that home slate that we were struggling with a good, wonderful win.
Yeah, and thank you guys once again to everyone that attended our live event Friday night before the Orlando game, came out to Red Hair Brewery, got to meet a lot of awesome Atlanta United fans, got to give away some autograph merch. It was a blast. It led into a really, really fun day Saturday at the Benz. Tailgating in the Gulch was incredible. The energy was electric. The supporters section was more hyped than I had seen it all season long. It was incredible. There were flags getting there was beers getting thrown, flags flying high. It was a beautiful atmosphere. We win 4-0 on national TV. You couldn't ask for more from this team. I think everyone was going into Dallas thinking we were riding on a high.
Yeah, and that was 71,000 fans. And from my experience, the 70,000 games have kind of been a mixed match of who was into the game and who was just there for the party. Everybody was into the game for Orlando, and it was a great scene. And I want to see that again. Our next 70,000 game coming up is the World Cup watch party that ends with Seattle. So I want to see another 70,000 rowdy and proud fans coming up with that.
Yeah, and we were actually, speaking of the World Cup, we were there were 2 World Cup games that day, and we were the highest attended soccer match in the world that day. Granted, the stadiums at the World Cup weren't as big as Mercedes-Benz, but still pretty cool on a day with 2 World Cup games.
That's great.
Atlanta is the most attended soccer match in the world.
Congratulations, number 17. You guys rocked out.
Well done, fans.
But then to bring everything back down, we go into this Dallas game. That's the hot news right now. 3-2 after we held the lead 2-1 up until the 85th minute, and we fought hard to get back. Made the 2 tying goals you mentioned earlier. Let's talk about Tito Villalba's first assist of the game, where he just left that guy, what's his name, Figueroa? Left his jock on the field.
Figueroa. Yes, he's poor guy. Honestly, he might need to retire. I mean, that was that bad. I mean, Tito literally could have sent him into retirement. He got schooled so bad.
And that was such a silky smooth play. It almost reminded me of a basketball crossover. And he just took him one way, slipped it behind his back, ran past him, had a chance ran into the goal inside the box. I thought for sure he was going to take a shot, but he decides to go with the sliding across pass to Joseph Martinez, who is for sure going to score from there. And Joseph's new favorite goal-scoring move is that sliding goal. That's his 3rd one this year.
Yeah, the sliding studs up, put it in the back of the net, and then sort of celebrate, but not really.
3 of his 17 goals now have been that sliding goal, and that's about 17% of his goal scoring this season. So that's one of his favored moves. And I love his celebration where he just pushes his hands down, quiets the crowd, calms everything down, and said, "It's not over yet." And we should have listened to him, as it's not over yet.
You know, Joseph Martinez's goal celebrations remind me a little bit of Mario Balotelli, if you've ever watched him. And they ask him, hey, Mario, why don't you score? You know, for our fans that aren't familiar with Balotelli, he's a really great soccer player who's gotten through some ups and downs, kind of a crazy character. Italian national team, plays, I think, in France now. But every time he scores, he doesn't celebrate. And they asked him about it, and he's like, well, it's my job to score. You know, does the mailman celebrate when he delivers the mail? You know, does Joseph celebrate when he does his job? He puts it in the net. That's his job. I love the mentality. Joseph is far and away the best striker in the MLS right now, without a doubt.
He leads the standings for Golden Boot, and it's not even close. 17 goals. You got 2 guys behind him at 11, and he's just inching closer and closer to a goal-scoring MLS record, which is 28 is where he's got to get to. If he can score 11 goals in the next 15 matches, which it almost seems like it's a given for Joseph to do it. I'll knock on that wood.
Yeah.
But give him a hat trick coming up. He'll get another record there, and give him another hat trick down the line, and he's well on his way.
Yeah, and he gets his second goal on another Miguel Almiron assist, which you hit on earlier. Another great finish, a great through ball by Miggy. And we go up 2-1 into the 85th minute. And then The meltdown occurs. Like I said, this is a really tough loss for our team after being up 5 minutes to go. I felt like our defense collapsed about that point when Tata brought in a fifth defender. We tried to switch to 5 at the back. He brought on Miles Robinson. The organization on the back line seemed to melt down. We can get to that a little bit further in Tata's tactics, but I thought this Gresselmania quote was interesting. Julian Gressel, I think he's played really well in that new central midfield position. He says about the game, direct quote, to give away a game like this is just frustrating. I don't really know what to say. You do all this work in such a tough environment and such a tough climate, play great 85 minutes, and we give it away in the last 5 minutes. It's frustrating. Obviously, something we'll learn from and have to be better. Ultimately, it's just frustrating and annoying right now. I think that sums up the feeling of every Atlanta United fan watching this game, Joe.
Yeah, and going into it, the first 80 minutes, we gave up the early goal to that free kick. I personally thought Brad Guzan should have gotten to it, but I give props to the whole tactical formation where they had 2 defenders standing in the wall, and that's exactly where he chose to kick the ball in between his defenders, and Brad had a tough time seeing it, but it still didn't have a ton of pace on it. I thought it was a savable ball, but it went in. So we fought hard. Tito made a great move, gives the pass, and then later in the game, Miguel Almiron, after a couple of great passes to get to him, gives Joseph another goal. Go up 2-1. At that point in time, we were holding about 60% of the possession, and we were controlling the entire game. And then the changes started happening. We bring in another defender, bring out Barco, and Tito Villalba comes off the field hurting, and bring in Kevin Kratz for him. And we kind of shift to a formation, and it was almost like you couldn't even tell looking at the game what it was. I thought it may have been 5 at the back, 3 midfielders, and 2 attackers, because you had Joseph and Miguel Almiron sitting up front just on their own, trying to create stuff up there instead of maybe pushing Miguel back further. But the players didn't even know where they were. And the first goal that they gave up, Miles Robinson and Parkhurst, who I thought up until this point was having an incredible game. He had several steals, several saves, and several breakups throughout the game. And then when the whole formation shift with new players on the field, there was lack of communication, and they both collapse on a midfield guy and leave a winger wide open for a free run on goal.
Yeah, I mean, it was just kind of a disaster. They get 2 goals in 3 minutes. We lose 3-2 in Dallas. Not a good record at Texas this year, especially after that Houston home opener early in the season. The home opener for Houston, the first game of the season in Houston. We got our butts handed to us, but formation change was weird. Subs were a little weird. Overall, it's a game to forget. The team looked totally gassed at the end. Like I said, everyone was cramping up. I think there were some tactical mistakes. I think there was some fatigue issues. Joe, let's get past this, man.
Yeah, I want to break down that last goal. You cross it in, and you had 5 guys in the box to their 3. And Parkhurst gets a touch on it, toe ball into the middle of the box where he couldn't get the clear. And then nobody of the 3 guys standing there could collapse on the ball after they got a shot. And then it kind of ping-pongs around there.
Everyone ball watching.
And just ball watching and standing there. Clearly, you mentioned that they were gassed. And I thought that had a lot to do with how we give it up. And it was just a mental breakdown. And it's something that has been kind of a theme of going back to last year of being able to close out a game, which we've been able to close out games here lately. Go to Columbus Crew, we closed out that game incredible.
Yeah.
Go to the Minnesota United game earlier in the year where we were down a man.
Yeah.
Able to close out. So it's kind of a nightmare of last season where we were not able to close out games. And I hope it's not something that brings back bad history, because we have been able to close out games in the past. And I truly think we can, but there has been a theme of against top quality competition that we've been able to, or we struggle to close out games.
Yeah, you can't deny it. We've struggled. I mean, I'm honestly just kind of getting thirsty thinking about it.
You know what, Blake? I need a beer.
Beer of the week!
Every week.
Every week. It's a great time to take a little break. We bring you Creature Comforts Athena. And this one goes out to Julian Gressel because it's a Berliner Weiss.
called the Champagne of the South. That's
And
what it says on the can.
Julian Gressel is our champagne of the South.
It's time to drink some champagne.
Let me spike one in. Give me a little ATL chant.
Let's go.
ATL.
Beautiful.
Coming back at you.
Beautiful.
Now, Blake, you are a big fan of Creature Comforts. Tell me why you love this brewery so much.
I mean, these guys, the guys behind Creature Comforts, out of Athens, Georgia, definitely not, 4 or 5 years ago, the big name out of Athens. That would be belong to their turtle brethren at Terrapin. But Creature Comforts is a fantastic Georgia brewery. I think they had the official beer of tailgates before Rowdy and Proud IPA was released this year. Last year, before the Gulch, before anything, when we were out in the varsity parking lot, I think Tropicalia was the official beer of Atlanta United tailgates. I saw that more than any beer out there. There were jokes about it online. Tropicalia, how many Tropicalias can you throw down before the game at Bobby Dodd? So I love this brewery. I think it's fantastic. This is a perfect summer beer. Like I said, they call this one the Champagne of the South. So if Miller High Life is the champagne of beers, this is the Champagne of the South. You guys get out there, try it. Perfect for a sunny day. Athena Berliner Weiss.
And it's a really good summer beer. It's got that sour taste, a really good Berliner, on the fringe of being a sour beer. So if you are a sour fan, a Berliner Weiss is the perfect fit for you. And go ahead, give it a shot.
Yeah, it's a tasty beer. I'm gonna imbibe in this Berliner Weiss. But let's move on, Joe. Let's move on, drinking this fantastic beer, and let's preview Philadelphia coming up tomorrow.
And boy, am I ready to get back out on that field. A lot of people might say that they're scared, but I'm ready. Here's a team, a rematch of the game we won back on 6-2, 3-1. And if you don't remember, that was the game where there were 2 red cards handed out during that.
Yeah, it was a red card meltdown game.
Yeah.
Like, you get a red card, and you get a red card, and the fans are going crazy. I don't even know what happened. It was just like, red card, game's over.
Yeah. Earlier in the game, Alejandro Bedoya made a stupid foul to get a yellow, and then we got a penalty kick. And during the penalty kick, Bedoya steps into the box, starts fixing his shoe.
Tie his shoe.
And the ref instantly gives him a yellow card and forgot that he was already on a yellow card, so he went straight for the red right after that because he had no choice.
Yeah.
He kind of made a mistake. And then, getting his own teammates back, Madunjanin steps in, and if you remember it, he got in that ref's face. I thought for sure he was about to choke the ref out.
Well, didn't he spit at the ref as well?
He ended up spitting at the ref, and he said some very, very bad things that I cannot say on air.
No, because we're a family-friendly podcast.
And so he gets a red card too, and they go 2 men down instantly. And that pretty much handed us the game.
Yeah, we didn't even play that well the rest of the game, but the game was over at that point. They were down 2 men. We won the game.
They were down 2 men, and I want to say that was kind of during the mix of our bad home form.
Yeah.
And we looked bad during that game. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. We gave up a goal while being 2 men down. We only scored on the penalty kick, and then we scored 2 more, and only won 3-1 when we thought we were going to do another free burrito game and win something like 7-1, 8-0. It did not happen that way.
Let's talk about Madunjanin a little bit more. The club's last 4 matches where Madunjanin plays 90 minutes. Philadelphia has 3 wins and a draw. He's had 10 of 13 of his career assists come at home. This guy plays well at home, and Philadelphia plays well when he plays the full 90.
Yeah, and he was one of our players to watch if you go back to our preview of that show.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a free kick specialist. He scored a couple goals already this year on the free kick. So it was big for them to lose him that game. And not only that game, but for the next 3 matches afterwards for what it was a very rightful suspension. You're never supposed to spit on a ref.
Yeah.
And there's too many players getting into a ref's face. And then they did it right.
Yeah. I'm tired of seeing players surround the ref. I think everyone that watches soccer, especially if you watch the World Cup some, it just gets annoying when players like mob the ref after a decision. I think it was the right call to send him off, especially when the guy's spitting at him. Let's talk about not just Madunjanin, though. Let's talk about at Philadelphia, Talon Energy Stadium. it's proven to be a really tough place for people to come in and win games at, even though their attendance has been horrible. Like, they've only been filling 25 to 30% of the stadium for some games, but they have been, I think it's 15-4-3 since May 2017 at home, and they've scored 47 goals at home in those 22 games. I think Philadelphia plays incredibly well at home. It looks like in the last 12, they've won 8 at home. I don't know. This is a tough place to play.
Their current home form this year, they've won 5, lost 2, tied 2. And one of their losses was early in the year when they were still coming together. They didn't look too great. And then they lost recently when they didn't have Madunjanin. So they had a couple key players missing. But other than that, they are a pretty solid home force. And that's kind of how it is in the MLS. A lot of teams rely on being good at home. And with Atlanta, we've kind of defied the odds this year and have been an incredible road team. And we almost took 3 points on the road at Dallas if it were not for that last 10-minute meltdown.
Yeah, and that would have given us a better road record than home record. You know, right now we have the same amount of draws and ties on the road as we do at home, but we also have the same amount of draws and ties as a Union do at home. So Mercedes-Benz right now, based on record alone, was actually equal in terms of tough place to play to Philadelphia. So despite us having, quadruple the amount of people every game, Philly has the same home record as us right now. This is going to be a tough match. I really like us to pull through here. We have the better team, but anything can happen out there, and Philly's tough at home.
And Philly's solid, but recently they're 2 wins, 3 losses, 0 draws. That's their last 5 MLS games.
Yeah.
And they've got their full lineup coming back, and they still have Alejandro Bedoya, who's going to be pulling the strings for them.
Great player.
And they still have Andre Blake in goal. One guy that you got to be able to put your best shots forward to score on him.
Yeah, arguably the best keeper in the MLS. I mean, this guy, he's a Jamaican international, and he's a fantastic keeper. He's incredibly athletic, and he's all over the goal. So, Philly's going to be tough. I think that this will be a really, really tough test considering the early turnaround, which is something we haven't hit on really. I mean, we play Saturday, then we play Wednesday. Now we're playing Saturday again. That's 3 games in a 7-day span. Man, that's tough, especially when we're going in, like, heat, like the crazy, crazy heat in Dallas. That had to be draining, and we're on planes. And, the MLS, we're flying, like, Delta. They don't have, like, a nice private plane that they can chill and rehydrate on. They're, like, flying on, commercial airlines in the MLS. So I'm just worried about this game. I don't know if we're in a hotel in Philly. I don't know if the players flew back to Atlanta today, and then they're flying out to Philly later tonight. I don't know how it works, but I'm concerned about this game.
Well, let's break it down a little bit further. Let's talk some Tata's tactics.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to start with the tactical breakdown of the last game where it was our meltdown in Dallas, where we had a great plan going forward, and then we switched to that 5 in the back, and it was very confusing to the team. But honestly, we got to take it as a learning experience, and this is one of the first time, it was the second time in my mind that I saw a tactical fluff as we had since the first game in Houston. And it's something we really got to break down and look at. When you make a tactical switch and you do it on any team you ever play for, they always, during the game, switch. Atlanta's done it all season long. They've switched their tactics. It just sometimes comes up wrong. And this time, we got it wrong. And I think it was kind of a perfect storm of losing Barco to a defender, but then losing Tito Villalba, having to put in another defensive central midfielder in there with Kevin Kratz. And then we just kind of had poor communication and loss of focus.
Yeah, I just have to say this, Joe. I am one that is 100% behind Tata. I think he is an excellent, excellent coach. I don't think we could have a better coach in the position for an MLS club at the level we're at right now. I'm just going to preface it with that because I think it's important to say that doesn't make him above criticism. He is getting paid to make tactical changes, to make tactical decisions. And in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of a lot of people that watch this game, he made the wrong call here. He went for a defensive approach similar to how we played at New York City when we got up in that game and we packed into a shell and Brad had to make 700 saves. We went to 5 at the back, and we brought on Miles Robinson, and him and Escobar had no idea who was playing right back between the two of them. And in my opinion, that's what resulted in, the second goal for Dallas.
With the free runner down that left side.
Which opened the game all the way up because, Escobar had played great at right back this game. And he brings in Robinson. Robinson kind of comes over, stands where Escobar's standing. So Escobar, I don't know if Robinson knows Spanish. I don't know their communication level. I don't know if it's communicated to the whole team to switch to 5 at the back. I didn't see the players talking that much. I think everyone's just tired at that point. I don't think that's the right point in the game to make a formation change. I think we're up 2-1. Our defense has been solidified. The only goal they had given up was off a set piece. It's not like we'd given up anything in free play. So that's just my take.
So why are you changing what's working?
That's my take. It might be controversial, but Tata got it wrong.
Well, to harp on your point a little bit earlier where you said don't want to blame it all on Tata, I want to put that a lot on the players themselves. The lack of communication that where you bring them in, Brad Guzan and Michael Parkhurst, that's their job to communicate what's going on and how you're tactically going to be shifting. That's on our players, and they did not get it right this time, and we lose a game. We suffer because of it.
Yeah, I don't think you can blame it on one specific person, one specific player. Tata got it wrong. The players got it wrong. And the combination of the heat, the road trip, the formation change, and the lack of communication resulted in this 5-minute meltdown that cost us 3 crucial points that put Dallas, honestly, ahead of us in the Supporter Shield standings based on points per game. And it was just a very heartbreaking loss, but we got to pick ourselves up, and we got to get this tactically right. I think moving on, I think we should just stick it 4 at the back. I mean, the best teams all over Europe, if they're up by 1 goal and they've been playing 4 at the back the whole game, they don't switch to 5 at the back with 5 minutes to go. They're just going to stick with their formation. It's been working. Let's stick with the formation. Rant over, but I think a lot of things came down to that switch tactically.
Yeah, and so going into what we're going to expect in this next game, it should go back to that 4-2-1-3.
Essentially a 4-3-3.
4-3-3.
Yeah. Four defenders, 3 midfielders, and the attacking 3. Obviously, if Tito's healthy, we'd love to see him out there. But I think Barco's played well on the left, and I think, obviously, how are you going to take Joseph out of the game?
Yeah, and so it's really a big question, though. Tito Villalba limping off the field. He's in our injury report. Does he have the health to – is he going to be able to be fit to play and to even start against Philadelphia?
He was incredibly impactful in the time he played, on the 4th of July game. I hate to see this for Tito because he's had a hard time getting back in the starting 11. He finally gets back in, and it looks like he might have another injury setback. Time will tell. Like I said, fingers crossed. I think he could play. I just don't know what's wrong. No injury report.
If he doesn't play, who would you put in? What would your formation be without Tito Villalba?
Well, so we still can't, start or bring into the game our new signing, Eric Remedy. So that would be my initial move, would to be take Gressel out of midfield and put him back on the right wing, and then just slot Remedy into the midfield, because Nagbe's hurt right now, and have a Larry, Remedy, Almiron midfield. But because that's not an option, I think our other option is to go double German and to push Gressel out to the wing still and to bring in Kratz to play that 8 position. I think that's our best option if Tito can't go tomorrow.
That seems to be what Tata Martino likes to do. But there's just something that's just itching in the back of my mind. Just why, I always have to ask why, we bring Andrew Carleton to the 18 and he does not get into the game. Yeah. This is the young kid. We've seen glimpses of glory, and he's only played 22 minutes this whole MLS season, and he is just ready to burst on the scene. He plays a wing position, and every time he's been in the game, he has shown brilliance. Why is Tata so reluctant to put Andrew Carleton into the game when we've got this kid from the hometown? The fans adore him, and in my opinion, he has not failed to impress.
He's one of our own. He's one of our own. Andrew Carleton.
He's one of our own.
We don't know where you are because Tata won't play you.
But
it's disappointing. It's disappointing. I agree with you. I think there's this is a kid that we might see starting for the U.S. when we host the World Cup in 8 years. That's how good this kid is. He is a U.S. prodigy. He's played for the U.S. national team at the junior levels. He is someone that could jump to Europe if he doesn't get any playing time soon. I really think this could be his moment to shine. I guess I said Gressel right off the bat, just thinking, well, that's what Tata will probably do. But what does, ATL Joe and Blake do? I think we both would agree to put Carlton in that wing spot.
How nice would it be to see the 19-year-old Barco on one wing and the 18-year-old Carlton on the other wing, just with that youth and speed and just eager to grow and just flying down and be able to feed into the league's #1 goal scorer in Joseph Martinez and playing side by side with another of the league's best players in Miguel Almiron.
Yeah, and the link-up play would be fantastic to see because every time Carlton has come in the game, I feel like he's produced really great chances. He just seems to have a spark. He has an eye for the creative, and he's just going to do something you don't expect, especially the defense doesn't expect, and create potentially a moment of magic.
Well, we're kind of talking about it. Let's bring up an old segment, the stock up, stock down, Blake.
Ooh.
And we can start with Andrew Carlton. And I want to go ahead and start off in saying right now his stock is down because he's not playing. But he's just ready for it to skyrocket if he gets a solid minutes into the game.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I feel like his stock's almost frozen. It's not on the market. Like, we want to see this kid on the market. We want to be able to judge whether his stock is up or his stock is down. He's played sporadically for ATL UTD2. He keeps getting pushed up, pushed down. He's on the first team. He's on ATL UTD2. This guy has the talent to be in our starting 11, especially under our current injury situation. So I think if Tito's actually hurt again and Nagbe's out, and Gressel's playing well in Nagbe's role, which I think he has been, and I think the fans would agree that he has been, then I think you got to give this kid his shot. Vasquez is not going to cut it on the wing. We've seen that. Romario Williams is not a winger. Okay? And so why not? What do we have to lose in this situation? This kid has talent. I got to say stock frozen, but stock should be up.
We want Carlton. All right, who's next? Ezequiel Barco.
Ezequiel Barco. I say stock up, man. I think he's played well with the situations that he's been put in. Does he try to do too much sometimes? Yes. Does he hold on to the ball too long sometimes? Yes. But he's still the best player we have at left wing, wouldn't you say?
Oh, man, the footwork is the only reason I'm going to put his stock up because he has had incredible moves and made people look silly out there. He's just a 19-year-old kid making grown men look like babies and just dancing around them. The one thing that's kind of hurting me is he's not getting enough goals and assists to my liking. A guy that we paid $14 million to get him over here, I'm expecting him to be up there in the league lead for both goals and assists. And he's growing, and I think it will still come, and he's still learning the system, and he gets better and better each week, and he does score goals. I just want more.
Yeah, I think we have to hit on this. This is something that happens all across the world in soccer, is you stop analyzing players based on how they're doing in the starting 11, and you start putting a price tag on people's heads and putting them under the pressure to justify the price tag. And there's been examples all over European leagues where a player has a huge transfer fee, he has so much pressure, underperforms, and is ostracized by the media and the fan base because of it. I think we have to look at Barco just like any other player. Barco did not pick how much money he cost. Our front office invested in a player that is only 19 years old. He's 5 or 6 years away from the prime of his career. And by his footwork alone, which you mentioned, he has all the ability in the world to become world class. He's just not there yet. We're comparing him to players like Miggy and Joseph, who are in the prime of their career. They're in their mid-20s.
6 years older than him.
This is a kid out there. And so, I think we have to drop the price tag label. The price tag was an investment. You don't put that kind of money in and expect to get a return in 1 year. When you put that kind of money in, you expect to get a return in 3 to 4 years. I would expect us, if Barco does move on to Europe, which he said is his goal, to push him along in 3 to 4 years. I never expected instant impact. I think he's done well, and I think he's going to continue to improve.
And that's excitement to hear that he's going to be here for 3 to 4 years and maybe more. But moving on, Another guy you mentioned earlier in the episode, Mikey Ambrose.
I got to smile when I hear that. I mean, I don't know about you, Joe. I think stock is way up. I've been impressed with Ambrose. I've been impressed with his link-up play. I don't think any of the 3 goals yesterday were on him at all. I think he's been solid attacking and defending. And honestly, I like his speed over that of McCann. So I think he's the left back for the time being.
No, and I have to completely agree with you. Mikey Ambrose stock is skyrocketing. He had the best game in an Atlanta United jersey yesterday night. He played incredible. He created a wonderful goal-scoring opportunity where he chipped it over the whole defense to Gresselmania on the back post. And Gressel had that one-time volley.
That was a volley right
with
at
a
the
great
keeper.
save. The keeper was able to knock it out of bounds. But he had multiple crosses in the game that linked up to the other team where that coming into this game was his weakest link. He kept crossing it off of defenders and going out of bounds and wasn't able. But now he's found his wedge out of his bag and able to chip it over the guys and link up with his players. And he would be the hero of the game. He had a chance in the 90th minute where a corner kick deflected out to him, and it's a very difficult move. But you want him to put that on target where he volleyed it just over the goal. He had a golden opportunity to tie it up. He didn't get it. So that would have put him way out of this world. But his stock is still way on the rise.
Yeah, I love watching this kid play right now. And I know he played great against Dallas, but I also think we got to highlight his goal line clearance against Orlando, where he came sliding in near post and made a save that helped us, roll to that 4-0 victory. Mikey Ambrose, definite stock up. Who we got left that we need to talk stock up, stock down on?
I want to bring 2 more people. One guy, this might be a little controversial here, just based on can he get on the field. Tito Villalba.
Yeah. Stock up, in my opinion. He's playing great when he's out there. He's creating chances. He's as quick as ever when he's healthy. And like I said, that move he put on poor Figueroa, RIP Figueroa's ankles and possibly career, that made SportsCenter top 10.
Figueroa's jockstrap is still on the field in Dallas. I don't think he was able to pick it up after the game. And Tito Villalba, I just hope he's healthy because his stock is way up. And just seeing our front 4 when they're healthy of Villalba, Almiron, Barco, and Martinez, it's just incredible to watch. So I hope you're healthy. And if you're healthy, your stock is sky high and you are on the field. Let's move on to a guy who I think had possibly his worst game of the season, Brad Guzan.
God, this guy is up and down in terms of how he's playing. But if we're referring to his stock, I just don't think that we have any goalkeepers under him that are really going to challenge him for his position, Joe. So for that, I'm going to say his stock is flat.
It's a push.
It's kind of a push.
If Goose is on the field and healthy, he's playing.
He's our best keeper.
Even if he's slightly hurt, I think he's still playing. And we've got Brad Guzan, and out of all the people I've heard a lot of hate on him this week, or just yesterday in general, whenever a goalie or anybody plays bad, they just start throwing shade at him and start bringing out all the negativity. But you're talking about the guy who had save of the year last year. He had an incredible 9-save game against one of the best teams in the league, New York City.
Yeah.
And this is a guy we are lucky to have on our team, and I want him to be on our team for the next 5 years.
And as fans, we need to be behind this guy. We got a song for him. He's big. He's tall. He's the wall. Brad, hey, man, we're behind you. As a goalkeeper, kind of by trade when I get out on the soccer field, which is rare these days, goalkeeper is a lose-lose position. Let's just be honest. You are the last guy. If you make a mistake at striker or midfield, you still got people behind you to cover your butt. Brad's got no one. And he plays well. He puts his heart out there. You can see the disappointment in his face when he lets a goal in. I think this guy has heart. I think this guy has grit. I think we got to be behind him, and I think he's our best option right now. So, Brad, tough game yesterday. You could have saved a couple of those shots, but at the end of the day, it was one-on-one, and the striker is expected to score in that situation.
Well, Blake, we got a game coming up this weekend. And I want to look at it as a chance, an opportunity for redemption against how we just performed in the last 10 minutes. And I think we're going to have some angry Atlanta United players out there looking to get off to a hot start. And they're going to come out and score first, and they're going to score often. I'm looking for a win this weekend, and I'm easily seeing a 3-1 victory.
Wow. Is it going to be sunny in Philadelphia?
It's always sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 2-1 Atlanta United victory. I think we get up by the same score, and this time Tata decides to keep his current formation. We hold on, and we come home with a 2-1 victory. Joe, let's hope this happens. Let's strike down the Union. Let's just beat them into the dirt.
Let's do it. Number 17s, I thank you very much for listening. You know, we're here every week. We release every Friday. And until next week, I'm ATL Joe. This is my co-host, Blake Marshman.
The Marshman. Hey, we do this for you guys. Thanks for listening. We're just a bunch of fans, having fun with the fans. We appreciate you guys.
See you next week.